All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully, everybody knows who I am. If you don't know who I am, you probably are on the wrong Zoom. But I put this series together for the launch and the rollout of my book. Finally got the book done, in the process of getting the book edited right now. And this is part of my launch sequence that I put together. I have been writing this book really for about 18 years. I first started writing this book like a year after I got married, and I kind of, I'll say I discovered the process, but I developed the process as I was going through a certain time period in my life, which I'm gonna talk about on here. So I'm gonna do this every Monday. So I'm gonna do it every Monday up until the week of my book coming out. So I'm gonna do it every Monday at 7 o'clock up until March 9th is probably my end date that I'm going to do. So, if you don't know, the title of my book is Mind Rehab. And so, most of you know me in some capacity, one way or another, either through real estate or through Mind Rehab or personal development and things like that. Most of you know that I've been in real estate for 26 years. This is my 26th year of being in real estate. And so I started writing a book really in 2000 and say about 2009, 2010. I actually started writing this book. And so how I started writing this book is I developed this process called Mind Rehab. And so I developed the Mind Rehab process because I went through this period in my life where I had an identity crisis. So, like I said before, I've been in real estate since I was 19. And when the real estate market crashed in 2009, it hit me and my family like a whirlwind. It hit me like a storm. And so I kind of had an identity crisis because I didn't um, I didn't go to college. When I graduated from high school, I went straight to real estate school, got my real estate license at 19, and I was a realtor at 19 years old. I bought my first house when I was 22, and when I bought my first house, I became a homeowner, a landlord, and an investor all in one transaction. So I bought my first house at 22. So a lot of my friends, when they were graduating from high school and going to college, and when they got out of college, they were just now starting a career. And I already had a career in real estate. I already had a house. I was a homeowner. I had a nice car. I had been in real estate for a few years. And so, because I didn't go to college and because I wanted to take advantage of this opportunity that I had been given to be in real estate, I put my all into it. I was in my early 20s, didn't go to college. I was fortunate to grow up in a real estate family. So, I grew up in a real estate family. My aunt and uncle owned a small real estate brokerage in Cincinnati, Ohio. Shout out to my sister. I just see my sister join the chat. So I grew up in a real estate family. So growing up, I saw my aunt and uncle be successful in real estate. I saw them be successful as entrepreneurs, and that inspired me to get into real estate. And I wanted to take advantage of that opportunity. So I put my all into real estate. And when the real estate market crashed, I developed what like an identity crisis. I had identified with being a realtor so much that when that was taken away from me, my livelihood was taken away from me, my ability to sell houses was taken away from me. I developed like an identity crisis. And so I had a situation where when I bought my first house, I had to draw out a floor plan. So I bought a multifamily that needed to be rehabbed and it needed to be needed work to be done on it. And so, I fell in love with investments and rehabbing and investment properties, properties that need work. I fell in love with the renovation process when I got into real estate, but in this particular situation, um, I was looking for houses that were a dump that looked like they needed to be fixed up. I was in the dumps, and so instead of rehabbing houses, I had to rehab my mind. And so, what this book is about, it's about the process that I developed to rehab my mind. And not only did I go through this process when the real estate market tanked, is I put myself through this process a few times. And I can honestly say that it's changed my life. It saved my life. And the reason why I wrote the book is because I want to share this process with other people. So now I'm coaching, I'm doing group coaching, I'm doing individual coaching. I'm talking to people about the process, and it's helping other people too. So I want to share this process that I developed, this mind rehab process, because I'm really passionate about helping people discover, what their gift is, you know who you are. And so when I had an identity crisis, not only did it allow me to find out, um, who I really was, it allowed me to find out what I was really great at. So that's what this process has did for me, and so that's why I wrote the book. So as a lot of you know, I'm passionate about working with men. My target audience is men. Can the process work for everybody? Absolutely. But there's tons of women's groups. There's tons of books for women, and I specifically am passionate about men, about helping men, reaching men, because I believe that it's relative. I'm a man, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm an entrepreneur, and I want to help other men that have similar situations. So, who is this book for? Anybody could take the mind rehab process and apply it to their life. So, the mind rehab process, I kind of want to go over the subtitle before it gets finalized and locked in. So the title of the book is Mind Rehab. The subtitle is The Process of Repairing What's Broken Inside and Stop Living Life by Trial and Error. So that's the main subtitle of what the book can do for you. And like I said before, the book will help you improve how you think, discover or rediscover what you're great at, and to live a fulfilling life. And so that's the three areas that a lot of men struggle with. As we become husbands, as we become fathers, we sometimes get lost in the roles of I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a provider, I'm a protector. And sometimes we can forget who we are, or we can lose sight of what we like. Sometimes when I talk to a lot of guys in my men's group, we can get so caught up in the day to day and just fulfilling roles, we forget what we like. We forget what we're passionate about, what lights us on fire. And so, this is what this book does. It helps you get back to the real you. I got a chapter in the book that talks about um, rediscovering the real you. And so, that's what this book does. So, this book, you can take it and apply it to your life, whether you're a man or a woman. But this book, I'm really reaching out to men. So I want to help as many men as possible improve how they think, discover who they are, and live a fulfilling life. So I want women, I want wives, sisters, to gift this book to a man in their life. And if you find the book and read it and to be helpful, share it with a man that you know, share it with a man that you love. So that's who I wrote the book for. And let's talk about some tentative dates. So, if I can meet these dates tentatively, the book is going to come out March 14th. I'm planning on having a book launch and a book signing right here in Henderson, our home base here, and it's going to be at the Coffee Religion Reading Room right over on Horizon Ridge. So if you're local, if you're in Vegas or Henderson area, It'll be at the Coffee Religion Reading Room right over on Horizon Ridge. So I'm excited about the book launch. This has been a long time coming. So, as far as the book, um, one of the reasons why I'm super excited about the book is it's just like I said, I put myself through this process and I've been through the process like three times myself. And so this is what happens. This is real life. You seeing it in motion with me. So I started writing the book. I got excited about, the process, started writing and coming up with ideas and things like that. And so life happens. So life happens, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do something new, and then something bad happens, or somebody gets sick, or the car dies, and then you put that dream to the back burner. You put that goal to the back burner and you say, I'll come back to it later on. You push yourself to the back burner. So every time that you push a goal or a dream to the back burner, you push yourself back to the back burner also. And so I did that a couple times. Every time I said, okay, now I'm gonna get serious about writing a book. I'm gonna finish the book. I'm gonna start coaching. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. When trouble came, money started getting tight. It was like, okay, I'm gonna come back to it. I'm gonna come back to it later on. And so that's a lot of times what we do in our lives. When trouble comes, or we face resistance, or it starts to get hard, we start to doubt ourselves. We start to doubt the calling on our lives. We start to doubt the genius in us. So we start to doubt the gifting. Like, am I a good writer? Am I a good coach? Is this going to work? Guess what? You'll never know. And so, one of the things that I talk about in the mind rehab process is, what have you never done? What have you never tried before? And so, a lot of times, the answer, or that thing that you're, weighing with, it's the thing that you've never done. It's the thing that you've never even tried to do. So that's one of the big things in the mind rehab process is, what's the one thing that you've never tried, that you've never done before? And, a lot of times as men, we stop dreaming. We start to think, I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 55. And you start to think that it's too late for you to live a fulfilling life. You start to think that it's too late for you to really do what you really want to do. So I have an acronym in the book. It's called, Are You Doing What You Really Want to Do? It's not too late, not to, I know you done heard it before, but Colonel Sanders, most millionaires are in their 50s when they become a millionaires. But, I'm 45. We kind of grew up in a different generation. We believe like, okay, we see Mark Zuckerberg be a teenager and become a billionaire. It doesn't always happen like that. Most millionaires don't be a millionaire until they're like 50. Most of the people that you see as a successful entrepreneur or a successful billionaire, millionaire, or successful entrepreneur, they failed a couple times. They had a couple failed businesses that happened. You only see that one successful one, but you don't see all the failures prior to that. So that's what the book is going to talk about. I'm excited about the rollout. And so, just real quick, I want to kind of to just overview the mind rehab process. And I will definitely open it up if you have questions. Again, I thank for everybody for joining us live. So let's go over the mind rehab process real quick, just high level. And so I tell people that if you go through the mind rehab process, you'll have a high level understanding of rehabbing houses too. So the mind rehab process is 5 phases. It's just like the 5 phases in construction. And so I'm thankful that I grew up in real estate. I'm thankful that I was rehabbing houses and flipping houses, because it helped me really hone in on this process and show how it's relative to rehabbing your mind. So the first phase is plan. You got to have a plan. And that's also one of the big reasons that I wrote this book also. I went a couple decades before I had a coach or a mentor or pay for coaching or anything like that. And so my subtitle that I came with, to stop living life by trial and error, if we really honest with ourselves, not just as men, but adults, we just living life by trial and error, really without a plan. The mind rehab process gives you a plan to go by. It's 5 phases. And if you're going to do anything productive, you got to have a plan. And so if you've deemed yourself as, I need to change some things, I need to improve some things in my life, just like when you rehab houses, we have in real estate what we call a scope of work. So that first phase is to plan. And when you go to rehab a house, you have what's called a scope of work. You determine what works, what doesn't work anymore, what you need to change, what you need to swap out. And so that's phase one. You do a self assessment, you do a self inspection. So, what in your life is not working anymore? It used to work when you was 27, but now you're 47 and it don't work no more. What never worked? What is something that you've been trying to do? It's like you've been trying to jam a circle in a square, and you just never fit in. It never worked for you, but you just kept trying to. What never worked for you? So phase one is to plan. Phase two is just like what you see on HGTV and the home renovation shows. It's the demo phase. People take the sledgehammer and they get all the crowbars and stuff out and they do all the demo. In real life, when I flipped houses, I actually don't like to do that part at all. But the demo part is stripping away those things, the things that are outdated, the things that don't work anymore. It could be a mentality, it could be a way of thinking, it could be a relationship. You have to strip away the things that don't work anymore. So if you can't install a new program, you can't install a new mentality until you have the old mentality stripped away. So phase two is demo. And you got to really look at your life. You got to really look at your mentality, the way that you think, the way that you think about yourself, the way that you think about your life, and determine what you want and need to demo. The third phase and the most important phase is to restore. The restoration phase in the mind rehab process is the most important phase in the mind rehab process because you get to the real you. When you strip away your job, your career, your business, your your possessions, you get to what I call the real you. And so that's the real rehab process is restoring the real you. So you get to, who am I? What's the real me? And then the second part is, what is my gift? What is my zone of genius? I call it your genius. Everybody, I believe everybody has a genius. Everybody has a gift. Everybody has something that they do extremely well. It comes easy to them and it's difficult to others. But a lot of times we discount our genius because it comes easy to us. I was just having a conversation with my wife about how we discount our gift. We discount our genius so much because it comes easy to us. And a lot of times we assume it comes easy to other people too, but it's extremely hard. So I give an example, a little spoiler alert in my book. Earlier on in our marriage, I started buying furniture at IKEA. And so a lot of people assume because I'm in real estate and I'm the man, I'm the husband, and I put stuff together. I really don't. My wife actually puts together the furniture. I go to IKEA and pick it up, and then I just sit in the middle of the floor and I turn on Scandal or Netflix for my wife, and she puts it together. But early on in our marriage, I tried to put this white dresser together. And it took me like 3 days, and I had like 5 leftover parts when I tried to put it together. And so it was just terrible. That's not really my gift. I can pick out the type of dresser, I can pick out the color of dresser, but actually putting it together is not my strong point. The next piece of furniture that I bought, my wife put it together in like 45 minutes, and she was watching a scandal and probably had a glass of wine. And so that type of thing comes easier to her and it's harder for me. But there's things that it comes super easy to me and it's very hard for her. But a lot of times we discount our gift because it comes so easy to us. It's just like when I first got my first pair of glasses, I thought everybody had trouble seeing things from far away just like I did because that's how I just thought that's how everybody saw. Until I got my first pair of glasses, it was like, oh shoot, I can read license plates. I can see the score on the TV from far away. I didn't know you were supposed to be able to see from far away without glasses like that. So that's just an example of your gift. You get to know the real you, and we talk about what's not the real you. We talk about the ego, and we talk about what's the real you, and then we talk about your gift, your genius. And so the restoration phase is the most important because a lot of times we'll switch jobs without switching mentalities. We'll switch relationships without switching um, your mindset. And so you start to think, oh, forget this job. They treat me wrong. Sometimes it's not the job. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's me. We switch relationships, we switch jobs, we switch churches, we switch everything except for us. we change out everything except for us. And so the restoration phase really allows you to focus on that and to identify that. So the restoration phase is the most important phase in the mind rehab process. The next phase is the improvement phase. And the improvement phase is the sexy part that you see on HGTV, the renovation shows. It's what makes the house look flipped. It's when you make improvements. You start to add things to make the house look improved. The kitchen cabinets, the countertops, the flooring, all the things that make a house look flipped. So you can't what we call putting lipstick on a pig. If you don't have the proper foundation and you start to build on that foundation, things are going to crack. Things are not going to go right. And so you have to make sure you go through the process, just like there's a correct process of renovating a house, rehabbing a house, there's a correct process of rehabbing your mind. So if you short circuit the process, guess what? Just like flipping houses, you have to go through the process all over again, and sometimes it takes you a lot longer and costs you more if you short circuit the process. So the next phase is that improvement phase. So once you've restored your foundation, we talk about what makes a house run. That's when you can build new things. That's where you can start to add the new career, the new business, the new organization, and you can add improvements to your life. And the last phase is what we skimp on this phase. It's the maintaining phase. Maintenance. Nobody likes to do maintenance. Nobody likes to do upkeep. So the last phase is to maintain. Landscaping your environment for success, taking continuing education, reading books, keeping your mind sharp, keeping your maintenance up, and that's what we skimp on. How many times have you been on a Zoom call like this and seen and heard somebody's smoke detectors chirping? That drives me crazy as a realtor. So just like a house, you got to change your furnace filters, you got to change the batteries in your smoke detectors, you have to do maintenance, and that's the same thing that we have to do with our minds. It's just like when you flip a house, you have to keep that house up. You have to keep the grass cut. You have to keep the landscaping up, or else it's going to start to look outdated. It's going to start look and run down. And that's the same thing with your mind. You have to do maintenance, or else you can see yourself falling back into those old patterns, that old way of thinking. And so maintaining is super important. And so that's what I'm focusing on right now, from reading books to publishing my books, coaching. Every time I coach somebody else, I'm able to kind of keep my tool sharpening, maintaining is super important. Um,
Black Henderson. Why is Facebook like?
what's going on, Dr. Stark? You came in making noise. So the last phase is the maintaining phase. So I'm gonna go over it one more time. So the mind rehab process is to plan, demo, restore, improve, and maintain. That's the whole mind rehab process. I break all this down in great deal detail, of course, in the book, and I give examples from my personal life, from other people's lives, and give you examples with real estate, just like we did here briefly. And so I'm super excited about this book. And so if you've had a book, if you have an idea, if you have a business, something that you know you've been dragging your feet on doing, aside from the stories and the mind rehab process in general, hopefully you seeing me take this step of uh, getting this book published and rolling out this book, this first book. I'm already working on the next book. Will motivate you too. Um, I just want to thank everybody for coming on this Zoom. Like I said, I'm going to do this every Monday, 7 p.m. until the week that my book comes out. And so today I just wanted to talk about what's the title of the book? What's the book about? Who's the book for? And so next week, I'm going to go through chapters like 1 through 5. So I'm going to break down the book and we're going to go through the chapters and all the way leading up to the book. And if you guys will join in, you can get a sneak peek of the book and the chapters. And I thank you for your support. I thank you guys for rocking with me. Um, I'm going to put links so you can follow along every week. I do have a school where you can follow along of all things Mind Rehab. Shout out to the people that already are in my Mind Rehab online community that are on. And yeah, man, I thank y'all for supporting. I'm just open it up for questions real quick. And if you have any questions, let me know and then I can unmute you. Everybody know how to raise their hand on Zoom? There we go. All right. Let's see. There we go. All right. You got a question? You got a question, young lady?
Who you talking to?
You raised your hand, right?
Okay. You didn't address me by my name, sir. Yes, hello. Good evening. This is Jameen Willis' sister, Trinice. And so I just wanted to say, first and foremost, I am tremendously proud of my brother. Definitely has been an encouragement for myself. I too am working on trying to complete my book. So just hearing just this tidbit has encouraged me to get back out there and make sure that I make my dream become a fruition. I too, had some roadblocks that came up and I allowed that and, feeling discouraged behind the actions that happened in that situation. And so I kind of let the ball drop. But I'm in the process of picking back up the pieces to get this back rolling. So this was really good encouragement. And so I just wanted to say that I'm really proud of you for sticking to your guns and getting back out there and making sure that you completed this project. So I'm just really proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yep, I got something that I have in the book called Unfinished Projects, and so we all have like unfinished projects, things that we say we're going to do and we don't complete. And you know, I call it construction dust. When you start something, even like when you start a renovation project, when you start flipping a house, it starts getting dusty. You see construction dust, drywall dust, pieces of carpet that you done torn up. It starts to look dusty, and sometimes you can say, "Okay, I'm gonna pause right now," and then you never come back to it. And so, I talk about that in the book, and I actually have, that's part of the process to show you how to get back on the wagon and get back to your unfinished projects. But appreciate the support, sis, and yeah, we gotta get that book rolling.
I have a question.
Okay.
This is your wife, by the way. Hi,
Hello.
everybody. I'm Nikki Willis. I'm Jameen's wife. Super excited about this book coming out too. Uh, I just want to know I know this book is for everybody. I mean, it can be for everybody, but I know you've written it for men. And so what could a man expect, maybe a year from now after reading this book and engaging with this book? You know, what could they see differently in their life a year from now?
So this book is for the man that feels stuck. When we lose things, a lot of times it can cause us to feel lost. And so the man who reads this book can see transformation. I mean, it's like Mind Rehab, don't you get it? But no, a man can see the transformation because when you don't, when you're not real secure and who you are, you can feel lost when you lose something. It could be a person, it could be a job. And as men, because the way that we're wired, we like to, we identify with providing. So I give you an example of, if you were in the NFL for 7 seasons, you identify with being in the NFL. You identify with being a football player. And let's say you get hurt and you're not able to play again, if you aren't real secure and know who you are, you can have an identity crisis, just like I went through an identity crisis when I felt like real estate was being taken away from me. So the main thing is you can see an improvement in how you think about yourself, how you think about life, and it will allow you to rediscover who you are and what you're great at, because it doesn't, when you get to what your real gift is, it doesn't matter if you lose a job or even if you lose a business. When you know your gift, you can insert yourself where you need to be at, and then also you can live a fulfilling life. As men, a lot of times in our early 20s and early on, we focus on ambition, we focus on being successful, get into the bag. This book and this process helps you get to the meaning phase in your life. Like, what do you find fulfillment? What's your purpose? So, three things: you'll see it, improvement in how you think about yourself and life. You'll be able to rediscover who you are and what you're great at, and live a fulfilling life. Did that answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
Cool.
Hey, I don't have a question, but I definitely want to just congratulate you, Jameen, on your insight, your vulnerability, and your ability to reach brothers at the high level, and also have them be more vulnerable. So just congratulations in your effort, and I can't wait to see the book.
Thank you, Dr. Dodd. Thank you. Got another doctor in the building,
Man,
Dr. Stark.
come on, man. Stop that. Hey, man, to you and the missus, man, I'm so proud of you. I'm glad that we finally got this thing finished. I put we in it because you're my brother, man. I know you,
Yeah,
it's all you, but, I'm going to take some credit just being your brother. Man, I love this book. I love the whole process, the coaching, because it took what you started in the first part of your career and what you know and what you've learned, and you made that into something to help men find purpose. And it's phenomenal, man. And like bestsellers, of course, man, you got to get that because this is a phenomenal project, man. I love you. I'm glad you did what you did, man, and keep going. Book number 2 next, Nikki. Book number two next.
All
Waiting for it, man, because you
right.
did your thing on this, man, and so I can't wait to see the book. I need a signed autograph and a few books to put in the office, bro.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. I appreciate the support and I appreciate you being my accountability person.
Yeah,
I was in third stretch of getting this book done and not just this book like now that the book is finished, but like I said, I'm working on the next book. The process of finishing this book and getting done, I faced resistance like no other. A lot of my guys that's on here, that's part of my group, they know the journey, the things that I've been through, with my business and investing and being embarrassed and losing things. But I kept moving forward. I kept persevering. And shout out to my guys, but more importantly, shout out to my wife. Like, when you set a goal and you try to reach something, it has an effect on your family, it has an effect on your spouse, it has an effect on the people closest to you. And so that's another thing too. Like, you can't play around with your purpose. A lot of times you think that you got time and when you drag your feet on your purpose, on the meaning phase in your life, you drag your feet on the sacrifices that your family benefiting from, the thing that you're doing. When you drag your feet, your family is making sacrifices for you. They believing in you. So I just want to shout out and thank you, babe, for supporting me. We're going through major sacrifices even right now to this day. So I appreciate you. And yeah, man, I'm trying to help as many men as possible rehab their minds. Trying to help as many men as possible rediscover who they are and improve their thinking and get to the meaning phase in their life. And so, if I can do it in book form, coaching form, group coaching, speaking engagements, that's that's what I'm on. That's the meaning phase in my life. And so I'm going hard with this book. I'm going to do this book launch. I'm going on a book tour. I'm going to the 12 major cities with the highest concentration of professional men. And that's my goal, to help as many people, as many men as possible to rehab their minds. So I appreciate everybody's support. I also want to shout out, you never know where that next push is going to come from. So on the Zoom is Alan and Janelle Herbert. And it's back here on my book, but I read a book called The War of Art, and that really helped me out a whole lot as far as taking my writing serious. And so that helped me out a lot. So I received motivation, inspiration, and encouragement from everybody, actually everybody on this Zoom. So I appreciate y'all. Any more questions? Any more comments? Cool. So I want to remind you that every Thursday up until the week of the book launch. So every Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific to my Eastern people, um, until March 9th, I'm going to do this. So next week, I'm going to start getting to the chapters of the book. A couple of my guys have been through group coaching on here before, so this will be familiar to you because when I do the coaching, I go through the whole 5 phases and I go through the chapters of the book. And so next week is going to be chapters 1 through 5. So I hope to see everybody next Monday at 7 p.m. Appreciate you joining this live. If you think of somebody or you know somebody that will benefit from the Mind Rehab process, please tell them about it and everybody have a good night.